Alright guys, welcome back to another video. It's just gotten dull as I press record. So it's rather chilly today, and I want to just talk about this event, this bizarre occurrence that happened on Capel Street there 2 evenings ago. I said Talbot Street in the video last night by mistake. Something else happened on Talbot Street a while ago, and I was reading up about it. But anyway, that's beside the point. It happened in fairly inner city Dublin, and it looked like probably one of the most bizarre looking, weird, possibly staged, possibly fake terrorist attacks. I think when somebody yells Aloha Akbar, yeah, I think you can pretty much safely say it's a terrorist attack. So there was a few things going on in this video, right, that are worth sort of analysing. And I did say in the video last night, in fairness, that the guy, the attacker, wasn't very sort of proficient. He was sloppy. And it's good to have, if you do have, Islamic terrorist attackers trying to kill people and stuff, yeah, it's better that they are sloppy, to be honest, rather than being proficient and good at what they do. It's a little bit windy here, guys. I'm going to sit over here out of the wind for a second. So before this new video aired, before somebody sent me on this latest version, the HD 4K version, well, it wasn't very 4K, but it was better than the other video. I had seen this a few days ago, right, when it happened first. There was another video shared, shot from a few yards back. It wasn't overly clear what was going on. And when I saw this first, I looked at the man, the assailant, okay, the attacker, and I said to myself, is this guy topless? Is he not wearing anything? Now, this is an important part of the story, right? But he looked like he was wearing like a skin-coloured sort of cream jumper, which was slightly unusual. Okay, so that was before I even saw this new video, okay? I was kind of questioning what this guy was dressed in. Looking at the video yesterday, I suppose at first glance, we're all in a bit of shock that this happened. It all just seems so weird, trying to fathom, this attack, because it was so close up. We haven't really seen stuff like this before, captured on camera. Like this, so it's kind of hard to get your head around it. So I'll just kind of give you my take on it, right, of why I think that this is, possibly fake, maybe still real, maybe it's a nutcase, or maybe it's a setup, or a kind of an exercise or something like that. Initially, right, people are asking about why was there a fella standing there filming the street corner? Well, in this day and age with the mobile phones, people are just filming the most random stupid stuff. So that isn't an impossibility for somebody just to be standing there with their phone on. And it's very coincidental that, 2 guards happen to be walking into the scene. There happens to be an attacker then. So yeah, the cameraman, bit bizarre. He wasn't speaking English. That's nothing unusual, especially for Dublin. One thing I noticed about the guy filming was that towards the start of the video, in the thick of the attack, shall we say, just after the assailant stabbed the police officer, or allegedly did, the Garda, I should say, not police officer, he got a bit closer to the guy filming. Now, the guy filming didn't seem to back off when that happened. Now, if you were in that situation, given the fact of how terrifying these attacks are, you would probably back off. So the cameraman was he was a little bit more up close at the start of the video. Then towards the end of the video, towards the latter half, right, he was unusually far. You would think that if you're comfortable filming the attacker from, we'll say, a few meters away, when they have the knife in their hand, that when they're being subdued, you wouldn't be further away standing behind flower beds and lampposts. So that was a bit unusual, the way the guy filming didn't go closer. You would think it would be the other way around. You would think that once the cops and the bystander, which I'll get to soon, you would think that he'd be closer to that, okay? The attack itself and the way he shouted and went in on the guard, firstly, the way he was holding the knife and the knife itself, okay? Now, you couldn't really see it. You couldn't see the knife. And why is that? Why wasn't it a bigger blade? If this was staged, why wouldn't they use like a more visually, aesthetically in-your-face type of knife, okay? It seemed like it was a very small blade. And also the way he held it in a sort of a fist style, in an upper hand position like that, as opposed to down like this. You know, now this would be a way somebody would hold it if you were trying to get somebody in the back or something, right? But if you're getting somebody into the side, it would be more this type of handling. That's only my opinion now. I could be completely wrong. If it was staged, right, you can see the guard there, right, after he was stabbed. You could see him checking his arm like this, right? Now, if it was a staged thing, the Garda would probably be more reactionary when he was being attacked. Do you get me? Because he didn't realise what was going on for a couple of seconds. Then you could see him checking his arm, okay? If it was an act, the Garda might have reacted more and, you know, like let's say a guy playing soccer, put on a bit more dramatics. Now, there was dramatics coming up. I'll get to that in a second. After the attack, things went into standoff mode and there was a little bit of shuffling, and that was the sort of, to me, the most staged looking part of the video. And again, the cameraman or the guy with his phone was a little bit closer. But the shuffling that this guy was doing, looking over and back at the guards, it just looked a little bit weird, okay? And his trainers, did I forget to mention his trainers? There's something about this guy's shoes. With the outfit that this guy's wearing, I saw a picture on Twitter and I used it in the thumbnail of last night's video, in which you could see the guy on the ground. And he was clearly wearing some sort of identity mask, something that you can get on Temu or one of these websites, in which you pull on a kind of a balaclava sleeve and it's got a cheap print on it and you look like you're somebody else. I've seen some of these guys, you know, there's videos of Kanye versions of this. A guy will pull up his hoodie just to make it look a bit more realistic and it looks like you're Kanye West or somewhat Temu Kanye West. So it looked like it was that type of a mask. So very, very odd. Indeed, very odd. Probably the most bizarre part of it, and the most, shall we say, suggestive element that it was faked or staged, was the fact that there were so few bystanders. They didn't really scatter quickly, which is very, very unlikely, okay? In this day and age, when we're kind of on edge with terrorism and, you know, who knows what the guy had? He could have had a gun on him as well. He could have had some sort of bomb. So people didn't scatter off the scene. I just thought that was really weird. Literally, the first guy that came on the scene tackled the assailant, the attacker. To get somebody out of the general public willing enough to go in on a guy like that who's holding a blade, even if you were in a crowd, you'd struggle to get one person to do that. But in this case, you only had a handful of people around, and literally the first guy on the scene did it. And the takedown was sort of, for me, very, very unusual, if not the giveaway that it could be staged. You can't see what the guy is really doing. It's almost as if the guy has like some sort of taser, or, you know, one of these sort of cattle prod things, that he literally electrocutes the guy into the neck. And that sort of, to me, nearly looks like what could have happened. So what the hell was that all about? This bystander, was he some sort of martial arts expert in which he could, you know, find a pressure point in the guy's neck and just drop him to his feet? So you could see or you could hear the attacker let a roar and go, ah! And to me, that just seemed a little bit odd as well. I just couldn't help but think that was a bit odd too, the way he just dropped like that. And then let's get to the women, okay? I think there was 2 women. If I was to be honest, I can't find any part of that was staged, because that is so typical of what you see. I think if there was an Oscar going out to anyone, it's going to go out to the lady who stood in between the guards and held her arms out either side, trying to keep them away from the attacker. Like if there was a guy that genuinely was after, knifing a policeman, would your priority be in trying to stop the police hitting them a few belts? Okay. So what the hell was she doing? That was weird. Standing in between them, trying to hold the police apart. And then there was another woman right in the thick of it as well. You're like, come on, biddy, what are you doing? So yeah, the two women involved, very dumb. We're talking crazy. But not something I haven't seen before, to be honest with you. Jesus. I see that type of stuff all too often. Just stay out of it, girls, please. Go home and make a nice sandwich for yourself or something. Go to the chipper and get yourself a garlic and cheese fries and just leave the guards alone. Let them do their job or whatever. So anyway, the bizarre stuff isn't finished, right? So when they got the guy on the ground, right? When I saw the other video first, I thought it looked like they gave the guy a good tune-up, okay? Well-deserving truncheon work there from the guards, which is something that's kind of, dare I say, almost refreshing to see, because these days now you just think that the guards, they're only interested in, policing your social media, and when there is genuine crime, when there is violence on the streets, they seem to be, a little bit standoffish or less likely to be seen. Their version of a criminal seems to have changed from somebody who's actually physically harming people to somebody who's behind a keyboard on their laptop. Now, to go back to that outfit he was wearing, if you listen to the sounds of some of the batons, okay, or the rods, those extension rods or whatever they use, if you listen to some of the strikes on the guy's body, it sort of sounds like they're hitting a sack of animal feed or something. There's a bit of a slap off it that you wouldn't associate with hitting somebody, okay? It sort of sounds like the top the guy's wearing is made out of, shall we say, like a canvas or something like that. So that seemed a bit unusual, but towards the end, one of the last strikes, the cops hit the guy. There's a loud sort of a crack. Now, I thought initially that they hit the guy in the head, and I was going, good on them, right? But it could be something else. It could be where there was a clash. It sounds like possibly a clash of the two Garda's, sticks, okay? The guy, all in all, I think he looked a bit weird. I think he had a pair of glasses on. He had the trainers on. He had that weird top on. And it would leave you then to the question that, like, if this is staged, right, why would it be staged? And I can honestly tell you that there is no way that the Gardaí would have any involvement in something like this. It just seems highly unlikely that they would put on an event like this when there's already such a problem with so-called hate and division and tension. So you see, there's a lot of eyes on Ireland now around the world. Ireland is kind of, the old Emerald Isle, this little notion that Ireland is a lovely little peaceful, green, misty patch of land up in the North Atlantic, as I've said enough times. Where you go and you see a little bit of Celtic culture and stuff. Those days are gone now. People are looking at Ireland in a slightly different way now. They know that we're struggling a bit. They know that we're not crazy about how the country is being run. And the whole world kind of knows now at this stage that Ireland, is having a bit of a problem with too much immigration. It's got us a bit on our knees. So if this wasn't some sort of Garda exercise, who else might stage this? So there has been incidents before where, just total nutcases, attention seekers, might want to just do something really stupid. They mightn't have the sort of evil tendencies that some of these terrorists might have, but they might still want the attention, or they might, they're just crazies basically. So it could be that could be another option. Is it a setup, a far-right agitator trying to make it look like terrorism is worse than it is, trying to create more tension, bring on another riot, instigate a bit of civil war, which some of us kind of are thinking now could be an inevitability in the future. But my answer to that is that why would you need to? We already have examples of it. Okay, we've already had attacks. There's already problems. You know, you don't need to stage anything to make it look any worse. It already is bad, okay? There's stuff every week in Ireland, every few days, even every day. There's some sort of ridiculous crime going on that shouldn't be happening. There's bizarre crimes now, there's new types of crimes. There's an ongoing sort of barrage of stuff going on in Ireland in the news feed. A lot of it related to the iPass thing, the unvetted immigrants, you know, and even from the other side as well. We saw there with the Indian guy being attacked in Tala, things like that. That was a pretty big story. There was worse attacks carried out on Irish people. There was a worse attack 2 years ago on a American tourist, and it didn't get a fraction of the attention, and it didn't get any protests or anything like that. That's because he was a white man. He was a much older man. He was left for dead in the streets by some Dublin youths. They bet him to within an inch of his life. He thought he was going to die. He thought he was going to lose his sight. He thought he wouldn't be able to walk again. He was very, very lucky to survive the attack. It was much, much worse. Now, I'm not saying the attack on the Indian guy wasn't very, very serious. It was awful. It was a terrible occurrence. There is a problem with aggression from the Dublin youths. I see it when I go up there. I'm like, God, this is rough. Nobody's denying that, guys. I'm not denying it. But we have to be realistic too. An awful lot of the unrest, an awful lot of the sort of societal distrust, breakdown in, you know, the high trust society that we used to have. It's immigration related. There's no, you just have to call a spade a spade. You have to just admit the realism of it. So that's it from the Claddagh here in Galway. I'm going to love you and leave you and get a nice coffee now before I go on to the next thing. Chat soon, guys.